Well, I installed a second identical HP 2700 printer and found out that the second printer didn't have a scan like the other one. So what you have to do is you have to go back in and start the HP 2700 software or whatever other HP, and or whatever printer you have, fire it up, and see here, you can notice that both printers are configured. I had configured them both as network printers, the second one also. So start up the new one that you just installed and go in there oops, got to go fire it up. And what you have to do is you're going to have to go back and plug in the USB and reconfigured it. So just go into the tools and go into device setup like so, and configure it, reconfigure it using the Connect USB. Now it's already configured and nothing is going to change except the scan. So go through the process of configuring it, and it's going to change some files so that you'll be able to scan from that new printer. But just go through the process. I mean, I'm sure you've gone through this before. Plug it into the USB port and go through the process, and it'll just generate a new file. Now, I had already copied the file elsewhere, but I'm going to show you what happens here when you go into the scan. So start up the scan. Even you might have a shortcut, but start up the scanning, and it showed up as Net2. Now I'm going to change the name later, but that's what it came up with. It's still the same printer. Whatever configuration you had before under network is fine. I'm just going to have to change that, make a note of changing that to maybe scan or whatever. But it changes a file in your app data local HP for that HP printer that you have, and it configures a scan file, INI file, to include USB for this new printer. Now there are going to be some slight differences. The original printer, when you fire it up, will have scan. So you can print or scan, but you can have a choice of doing either one. So anyway, what happens here is that's the new printer, and just choose that printer, and it'll start up the scanner. Again, this was not available. If you go through the process and configure it as a network printer, well, it's going to be missing the scan capability. So there it is. You've got a scan on that new printer. Now you do have to go through the process of going through that shortcut and and firing it up when you are going to scan. But that's no big deal. It works. Now, again, it changed that file, and you just can see it now. Now the other printer, though, is show you what it had. There you go. Fire up the old printer, and it's got some differences. And it was a little shock to find out that the scan wasn't available when I tried to scan something. But anyway, it's coming up right now. I don't know why it takes so long. I guess it's checking the network and stuff. But this one has scan. That's the old printer. And the new one, configured as a network printer, just didn't have that capability. So you have to go through that process of plugging it in as a USB. And then, again, what you're going to have to do is you're always going to have to use the scan executable in your app, and it'll give you a choice. You can probably use the other one too, but the new one works. Anyway, Anyway, I'm sure somebody out there has had multiple printers on one PC, identical printers. Now I've got another 7640, and it works just fine. As came up with a scan, but again, if you have identical printers and you want to configure them on the same PC, then you're going to have to go through this process. Now, I'm not sharing this printer. I'm sure there's going to be a difference, but see, no matter what you do, going back to the original configuration, you're not going to have a scan there. So you got to plug it in and use the executable, go through the process of just doing it this way. Anyway, I hope it helps somebody out there that gets a little surprised when he tries to scan and there's nothing there.